this. Okay, let's get comfortable. Be comfortable. All right. Hi, guys. Guess what? I had a baby. I finally had my baby. This is Romy. She was born 2 weeks ago. You just want to eat. You just constantly want to eat. Okay. All right, we'll get you all set up. Okay. All right, I am 2 weeks postpartum, and I want to just sit down and talk about my birth story, and then I will do a whole birth vlog. I have no idea what footage I have from that. I know that I filmed stuff, but I don't remember, and then I also don't know what other people filmed because I was in labor land. I have no idea what was going on, but I just kind of want to talk through my birth story. I wanted to do it a couple days after she was born, but then obviously didn't get to it. But now that it's been 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, I need to sit down and do this because it's crazy how fast your memory fades. Obviously, certain things are going to stick in my brain forever. I don't want the memories to get fuzzy and try to explain it later, so I kind of just want to capture as while it's still fresh. Even though it feels like it was so long ago, it literally was 2 weeks ago. So let's just go ahead and dive right into my birth story with my second baby. At the end of my last vlog, I was going into false labor, so I'll kind of start from there. And also in the last vlog, I was talking about how I was prepping for a home birth, and guys, I did it! We had a home birth and it was incredible. I'm already tearing up going to talk about it. If you know my birth story from my first, it was just a lot of what I did not want to happen, and birth can be unpredictable, and you just have to own your story and work through your story if it was traumatizing for you, because it's totally valid. Even if someone's like, that's not traumatizing, if it is for you, that is your own story and your own experience. So whatever the case may be, if you have to work through something, you gotta work through something, you know? Okay, so I'll kind of start where the last vlog left off. So that was on a Friday, and I woke up at 3 a.m. I think it was. Yeah, 3 a.m. with contractions. And my first, I was induced and had medicine that made me start to have contractions. So I really was excited this time around to feel contractions spontaneously, naturally, without any kind of medical intervention, and it started happening. So it was my first time having contractions this whole pregnancy, because I didn't have Braxton Hicks or anything. So anyway, when I woke up in the morning at 3 a.m. on Friday morning to contractions, I was like, yes, my body is doing it. Whether this is actually happening or not, my body's doing it, and it will eventually. And that was very, very exciting for me, and such a win, and something I literally was just praying for. And I was 41 weeks and 5 days. My midwife and I both had 2 different dates, so I think she might have had me at 41 and 3 or 4. I don't even know, but I was almost 42 weeks pregnant, okay? We're kind of getting to the point of okay, this needs to happen. Since I was so late, which babies come late, that's not a weird thing to go to 42 weeks. Our system now doesn't really let you do that, even though it's a totally natural thing. So since I was 41 weeks, everyone and their brother is asking, when are you getting induced? When are you getting induced? And I'm like, I really am trying to not be induced. I was really praying and believing to go into labor spontaneously and to have natural labor. And my midwife's cutoff is 42 and 2, but I think she would have given me a little bit of grace and we could have gone a little bit further than that. But I think that's very rare to have happen. I'll talk about our conversation we had the next day, but let me stick to Friday for now. So 41 weeks, woke up with contractions, 3 in the morning. I didn't wake up Clark, because I'm like, if this is it, I want to have him get as much sleep as possible. So I was having contractions from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., 7 to 10 minutes apart. And then I ended up falling asleep in between one. And so I got 10 minutes of sleep. And then around 8 o'clock, when we all were getting up, they started slowing down. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I knew it wasn't real. Maybe my body was doing stuff. In order for it to be actual labor, your contractions get closer and closer together. And that was not happening. And they completely stalled out. And I think I had maybe 1 or 2 after that, and then it stopped. That was super disappointing. And I was talking to my midwife, and she's like, it's very normal to have happen, especially when toddlers get up and you're starting your day, your body goes into mom mode, and things are happening, but it's not happening right now. And I was like, okay, fine. So Friday passes, and then Saturday comes, and that's when my mom came. So she was gonna come weeks ago, got sick and had to cancel her flight. So it literally worked out perfectly. I was like, there's no way I'm not gonna have a baby by the time she actually comes. and here we were. She came on that Saturday. So we had the appointment with my midwife on that Saturday before we went and got my mom at the airport. And at that appointment, we just kind of talked like, okay, what does this next week look like? So we had that conversation, and she's like, do you want me to do a sweep? Like, we cannot, like, whatever you want to do, but I know like you want to get this baby out. You're 41 weeks, like totally up to you. What do you want to do? And I've been avoiding all checks. Like, I haven't been checked at all this entire pregnancy. I've only had one ultrasound, and I really just didn't want any kind of intervention. I just wanted my body to have this baby. And then I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? Maybe I do want to do the sweep. Like, if that's going to be the thing that gets me going, because I don't want to get to 42 weeks and be so stressed out about like, I need this baby to come out or I'm going to have to go to the hospital kind of thing. I was like, okay, let's do the sweep today. And we did. So we did that. I was 3 centimeters dilated, which is very normal. You can walk around 3 or 4 centimeters dilated for weeks. But it was still really encouraging for me, because even when I was induced, I was at a 1 for hours and hours and hours, like 12, 15 hours, something like I was not progressing at all. I was at a 1 and a 2 for the longest time while I was in severe labor. So the fact that I was not having contractions and already 3 centimeters, I was like, great, this is awesome. Did the sweep that Saturday, and then she also put me on 2 different herbs, black cohosh and blue cohosh. Cohosh, is that what it's called? So those 2 different herbs. So I had to take those 2 herbs every hour on the hour starting the next day, because we had to go to a certain store and like find the herbs first. Then she put me on a protocol for the next day, which was Sunday. So I had to do the herbs every hour on the hour, walk 20 minutes, rest 40 minutes, 20 minutes of nipple stimulation. So I just pumped, and then rest 40 minutes and do that cycle literally all throughout the day as much as I possibly can. I picked up my mom from the airport, had her here, so nice. And then the next day, which was Sunday, so basically that night we went to sleep. I woke up at 1 a.m. with contractions again. And since I had false labor so recently, I was not convinced that this was it this time around. So I'm having contractions consistently for several hours, from like 1 to 6 or 7 a.m., something like that. I did take notes. That was really smart. I woke up at 1 a.m. with contractions again. Praying was the real thing. They're 7 to 10 minutes apart for several hours until 8 a.m. And then they stalled out and started getting further apart around 8 a.m. And I was so discouraged. I was like, here we go again, like prodromal labor. Like, I don't want false labor. Like, I need this baby to come out. I was so discouraged. And I had been up all morning because I was having contractions that I could not sleep through because they were intense. They're manageable, but I was not able to sleep through them. Other than one time I fell asleep around 7 a.m. for like 10 minutes in between a contraction, and then the next contraction woke me up, but I got like a 10-minute nap. So I was literally up basically all night long with not getting sleep, and then had stalled out, and I was like, are you kidding me? And then they started to kind of pick back up again, but they were not getting closer and closer together, so I still was not convinced that it wasn't false labor. But then they kept happening, and I was like, okay, I think this is early labor. Like, I think I'm in labor. It's just not getting to active labor right now because my body it's going to take some time. And I was losing a lot of my mucus plug. I had my bloody show. I had a lot of stuff coming out of me, which means you're dilating and effacing while you're having contractions. So that part was actually really encouraging, even if the contractions were not consistent. They were consistently happening, but not like 7 minutes apart, and then 5 minutes apart, and then, whatever. It was like 7 to 10, and then be like 15 or 20 minutes apart, and then they'd be like 6 minutes apart for an hour, and then they'd be 10 minutes apart. So it was just kind of all over the place, but they still were happening all day long. So I was like, I'm in early labor, and I was already so exhausted because I did not sleep the night before, other than that 10-minute nap I got that morning. So I was already exhausted, which I knew from my first birth. I had a 40-hour labor. I was so tanked when it became like go time. I like had nothing left in me, and that was awful. So I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. I'm in labor and I'm exhausted. This is Sunday now at this point, and I started doing the herbs, the walks, the pumping, and trying to rest, but not able to sleep because, again, the contractions were happening. They were intense, and I was not able to sleep through them. And then finally around 6 p.m., my midwife was like, all right, stop the herbs, stop the walking, stop the pumping, all the things. You've been awake for so long. You need to get rest. Like, things are happening, but it's not happening right now. And I was like, I just went all day long basically laboring, and it's still not go time. Like, what's happening? But it was just my body doing its thing. So at 6 p.m. I stopped the herbs, I stopped the walking, all that. And then she was like, you need to just get rest at this point. You've been awake, so try to sleep. And I'm like, how am I supposed to sleep? So I was like, okay, they're stalling out so much that I'm having like 30 minutes in between at this point. I was so tired that I was like, I probably can fall asleep between them because I'm so exhausted. So this is Sunday evening. We put Sage to bed and she was like, take a really hot bath, let your body relax, and then get in bed. I get in the bath, I'm watching Emily in Paris. I have my fake candles going. I have my blueberry juice that I'm drinking. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna relax and just try to enjoy this and get my mind right and go to sleep after this. So I was in the bath for probably like 30 or 40 minutes. I had like 2 or 3 contractions in the bath. Again, probably every 10 minutes or so. Nothing too crazy. I'm able to work through it. And finally I get out of the bath, get in bed, and I start having the lightning feeling that I've been having for weeks and weeks. So this is nothing new, but they were paired with contractions and it was so intense. Again, contractions are still not getting closer and closer together, but the feeling with the contractions and the lightning feeling, I was like, this baby's head is coming out. Like I literally was like, Clark, what's happening? What's happening? Like, why do I feel like I kind of need to push? Things started amping up like crazy, but I still wasn't convinced it was happening because my contractions weren't super close together. Like in order to have your baby, they get like 5 minutes apart, then 4, then 3, and you know, they get closer and closer together. And mine were like 10 minutes apart. I'm like in bed making all kinds of sounds. I actually like yell at this point. I'm like putting my face into a pillow, like yelling because it hurts so bad. Clark calls the midwife and she's on the phone with me. He's like, I just need you to like listen to her. And she listened and was like, you're still talking through it. Like the warm bath probably just like activated something in there and kind of set you off a little bit, but try to sleep, try to rest. And I'm like, okay. So we're on the phone with her. I'm getting in bed. Things started to calm down a little bit. I had a few contractions, but again, they were manageable. They were fine. But at this point, it's around 10 p.m. Sage is down. I'm in bed, had my bath, all the things. And all of a sudden, pop, my water breaks. It was the most surreal feeling ever. I've never had my water just naturally break. And only like 10, no, what is it? It's like 15 or 20 or 25, I don't know. Smallish % of women who actually have their water break before going into like active labor. And it was crazy. It was so much fluid coming out of me. Thankfully, I had my waterproof mattress cover on, which I did not have the vinyl one on at that point, which we did after the fact. But Clark goes and gets my mom and didn't tell her. I was like, Alex really needs you. She goes into the bedroom and I'm laying there and she's like, because you could see the puddles, like my water broke. So we get off the phone with my midwife. She's like, I need you to lay on your side. We need to make sure that she's moving now that your water is broken. So that was like the first thing on my mind was to like go do that. And then she was like, go ahead and rest, try to go back to sleep. I'm like, but what does this mean? She's like, you could have another day, you could have a few hours, we don't know. Like she's trying to be like, because it literally could go either way. So she's like, we don't know, just try to rest. Let me know if they get closer together. And I'm like, God. So I wanted someone just like to tell me what was gonna happen when there's no way to just like to tell you what's gonna happen. So we get off the phone with her and I get into the shower, clean myself off. My mom and Clark changed the sheets. They put the vinyl cover on now. And I go lay on the couch and I just was like, I need to feel the baby. Like I need to make sure she's okay. She said, let her know as soon as possible, as soon as I feel movement in the next few minutes. So felt her move around several times. So we texted her and we're like, she's good, she's moving. She's like, okay, keep me posted. And we talked to the doula at this point. I'm like, my water broke. I don't think we need you right now, but I'll let you know if contractions start to pick up and everything. Within less than a half an hour, my contractions go from 0 to 100. Maybe not 0, but they go from like 3 to 100. And they're happening fast. Like I'm starting to track them and they were like 3, 2, and sometimes 1 minute apart. And I'm like, I'm in active labor. Like this is happening. My adrenaline starts going crazy. I'm shaking so badly that I like can barely stand. And it was so intense, so intense. So I'm like, I think we should have the doula come. So we told her to come. And I was like, I think you need to tell the midwife to come too. I screenshot the contractions, sent it to my midwife, and she was like, I'm on the way. I was like, okay. By that point, I'm like fully in labor land. My doula comes and I'm just like, hi. Okay, now I'm like in the zone. And the pool was already set up, but the water was not in it because we were waiting because you want it to be nice and warm, you know? So Clark starts filling up the pool with like really hot water because you're supposed to do like as hot as possible because it cools off and you want to have warm water for as long as possible. So I'm having very intense contractions, very, very, very close together. And Clark's trying to fill the pool. And then I remember my midwife coming, but I like don't even think I made eye contact with her. I was like so in labor land at that point, and I just wanted to get into the pool. I'm like, get me in the pool, get me in the pool, get me in the pool. I need to get in the pool right now. But it was too hot. So it was like 115 degrees, and I'm like burning trying to put my foot in. I'm like, oh my gosh. So they get the sump pump. They start to take hot water out of it to add cool water in, because I think everyone knew like it's go time. So it was around 11:30 that I was able to get into the pool, and it was still really hot, but I was like, I don't even care. I need water right now. And once I got in the pool, I was like, this feels so good. I could not even describe it. It was amazing. And then I had my fan that was attached to the pool that was blowing on my face. That was one of the highlights, was having that fan blow in my face. And then my mom had a cool washcloth that she was like putting on my neck and my head and stuff. So I'm in the pool having contractions. I didn't feel like I needed to push, and then I did. I got to a point where I was like, wait, what if I just like bear down and try to push? Because I didn't feel like anything was changing in that aspect. I was just like in the pool having contractions, knowing that things were like happening, but I didn't feel her coming down or anything like that. And then I got this like urge to push, and that's when my sound changed. I started grunting, started bearing down, and I don't even know like how long that was. So I think I did that for like 45 minutes ish, where I felt like I was pushing, and then I got so in my head and I was like, somebody help me, somebody help me, somebody help me. And she was like, what do you need help with? I'm like, someone else has got to do this. Someone else has to get this baby out. Like, I'm clearly, it's not working. Like, somebody help me, help me. I'm like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. And I've watched enough videos and heard enough stories that when you say that and you get to that point where you say out loud, like, I can't do this anymore, like, I'm done, you're about to have a baby. And that's exactly what happened. And then I started getting in my head and I was like, wait, what if I'm not dilated enough? And that's why I'm not feeling her like come down. So I was like, am I ready? And my midwife was like, yes, you're ready. And she's like, do you want me to check you? And I'm like, yes, I want you to check me. I need to know. Sometimes knowing where you're at dilation wise can be discouraging, but I knew I was like far along at this point. I knew I'd been dilating like all day. I'm like, I need to know. Like, if I'm at like a 7 or 8 or something, fine, but like I'm not gonna push it because I'm not ready. Am I thinking I'm supposed to push when I'm not really supposed to be pushing right now? And I didn't want to like cause any issues, you know? And this is just where my brain is at, like in the middle of labor. So she checks me and she's like, there's nothing there, there's nothing there. And I was like, oh my gosh, no. Like, I'm thinking she meant there's nothing there, I can't feel the baby, like she's really high up in there. So I was like, no. She's like, no, there's nothing there, like there's nothing left of your cervix, like you're fully ready to push your baby out. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I needed that permission, I guess, to be told like, yes, you're ready, push your baby out. And then this was really helpful. After she checked me, she was like, okay, on the next contraction, push my hand out, push my hand out. I was like, okay. So the next contraction, it gave me like a connection point, and I just bared down and just yelled my little heart out, and I pushed her hand out. She's like, your baby's right there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is at like 1 a.m. at this point, and I push her hand out, and then I'm like, okay, I feel things happening. And then the next contraction, I feel the ring of fire, which was not that bad, by the way. It lasted like, I don't even know how long, but it did not feel like it lasted long. Her head was halfway out for a while, and that's when I felt the ring of fire. It probably was a few minutes, because your contractions start to kind of space out a little bit when you're in transition. So yeah, I like just remember feeling relief knowing that her head was coming out, and like she actually was coming out of my body. That was just like everything I needed. And she was like, do you want to reach down and touch her? And I'm like, no, like I can't even, that took too much energy to even do. I was like so focused. I'm like, no, I need to just get her out. Like, I need to get her out. And then her head came out. And then the next contraction, her head came out, and that was like such a relief that like pressure and everything was gone, but even though like the rest of her big body was still inside of me. And then we were waiting on the next contraction, and it was not happening. And I think they can be head out like underwater for like 7 minutes, I think. Don't quote me on that, but it's like around that, where it's like fine that their head's out because they're not taking their first like real breath until they hit air. So they can be in water because they were just in water in your stomach, if that makes sense. And then this is kind of a blur. I actually see my midwife today, so I need to like ask her about this, but she's trying to get fetal tones, and I think she's struggling to get them. And we were waiting on the next contraction. She was like pushing on my stomach trying to like activate it, and she's like, do some nipple stimulation real fast to like get a contraction going. So I was like doing that. A contraction was not coming. Then she told me, she's like, just give me a push anyway. Basically being like, the contraction's not happening, but we need to get this baby out. But she did it in a very like calming way. Took a deep breath in, and I bared down with all of my soul, and I let out the biggest sound from my body and pushed my baby out. She slipped on out. I got to grab her, and put her on me. She cried immediately, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that just happened. I did it. Now I'm gonna cry. Okay, seriously, Alex. Oh my gosh. I was just so relieved, number one, that I didn't have to do that anymore. I was done. But I was just so proud of myself for doing it. This is literally like everything that I ever wanted out of a birth. I really wanted a redemptive birth story, and you know, no matter what would have happened, like having a perfect little baby angel out of it is like the best thing in the whole world. But I just really wanted this to go well, and it did. It was perfect. It was not easy, but I did it. I was so proud of myself, and I was just like, it's over, it's over, it's over. Oh my gosh, I have my baby. I felt like I was pregnant for 4.5 million years. So like, just the fact that I just did that she's out of me, she's here now, I'm holding her. It was absolutely magical. Okay, I'm gonna get myself together. Okay, anyway. And then as soon as she came out, blood came into the pool, because I think that means that your placenta like detaches. Sometimes the pool doesn't fill with blood and stuff like that until the placenta comes out, but mine like detached, so like blood happens like immediately. So I couldn't sit in the water for a very long amount of time. I have no idea how long I actually was sitting in it while I was holding her. It was not very long. She's like, okay, we don't want to get infections, so like we're gonna get out and go to the bedroom. And I had her at 111 on 9/9, so like that was pretty cool. They helped me get out of the tub, give Romy to Clark. My mom's holding the bowl with the placenta in it, and it's still attached to the baby, so like they're like shuffling together back to the bedroom. And then my midwife like puts like a big Chuck's pad on me, and like we head to the bedroom. I'm shaking from adrenaline so badly. Like I was uncontrollably just shaking. She's like, you're gonna have a lot of adrenaline, you're gonna get to that bedroom really fast, but like let's try to like be careful and everything. So we go to the bedroom, I get on the bed, they give me the baby, and we just have our golden hour for 45 minutes where we do skin to skin. She nurses right away, and I was shaking so bad. I like was like I'm like, oh my gosh guys, I cannot even like keep her from shaking and trying to nurse, because I'm like shaking so bad. But it was really special to do 45 minutes of just soaking in what just happened, skin to skin with baby, like, which is so different from the hospital. They take your baby like immediately to like do all vitals and stuff like that. But she was good, so she just laid on my chest. We all got in bed together. Sage was still sleeping, which ended up being such a big blessing, by the way, because I wanted her to be there, but God knew that I needed her to sleep, because the active labor part, which only was like 2-ish hours, was really intense, and I think she would have been fine, but I don't know. And me yelling and stuff, like I had already prepped her about all of this, but still I don't know what that would have done. Like I just prayed that whatever was supposed to happen would happen, and clearly the way it all happened was exactly how it was supposed to. So I'm really grateful she was sleeping. But so we're in the bedroom and we're like talking. Baby is screaming, crying, which is great. I prayed for some strong lungs, but she was so loud. I'm like, Sage is gonna wake up. Sage is gonna wake up. Like we're right next to her bedroom. Her door is mostly glass anyway. Like it's very thin. You can hear everything. Like you can hear someone walk down the hallway and like hear the floor creak. Like you can hear everything, even with the sound machine on. And we're like talking and whatever, baby's crying, and I can't believe she didn't wake up. Like that was a miracle. So in bed doing all that, and then she was like, before you stand back up and get into the shower, I need you to have food in your bodies. And this is the thing, I did not think this through enough throughout the day. I had the whole day, I was in early labor, and did not think about, okay, what's the meal that I want after I have this baby? I think I was just in denial that it was actually happening, so I didn't want to even like prep or think that way for some reason. But I was like, guys, I didn't even prep what I wanted as like my first delicious meal. So that was kind of dumb. But my midwife was like, you need to have like nutrient dense food right now. Your body is nourished so that when you stand up, you're not lightheaded. We don't want you passing out in the shower and all the things. My mom gave me a big plate of fruit. I had like a macro bar, I think. I had apple juice, coconut water, and then my mom made me some lentils. So I ate all of that, and then they're like, okay, we'll pass baby to dad. You're gonna go get in the shower. We're gonna stand outside and like talk to you to make sure like you're okay every like couple minutes. If you feel lightheaded, sit down. But I didn't feel lightheaded at all. I went in there and was just like, I just had a baby. I just had my dream home birth. I was just like on cloud 9. Like I felt great. I was like, this is amazing. And then I just kind of soaked up that shower, just let the hot water hit me, just like clean myself off. And I was like, okay. I go back to bed, and then they start doing all baby's vitals. So I got to be right there during all of it. She had pooped before she weighed her. So she ended up being 8'7", which I think she would have been 8'8" if we would have weighed her before she pooped, which would have made her born on 9/9 at 111 weighing 8'8", but she was 8'7", but I'm thinking she was 8'8", have all those like numbers, but anyway. So being in bed afterward was so amazing. Just being able to be right in bed. We don't have to go anywhere. Nurses are not gonna be coming in and just bothering us every hour. Like, it was amazing. I felt really, really good. I did not have to have any stitches. When she checked me, I had one tear. She said it was more of like a slit kind of thing. It's from how I was sutured up the time before. Unfortunately, she's like, this is not my work. This is from previous thing, but you do have a slight like slit that she's like, it's not even worth stitching up. I'd stitch it up if it was necessary, but it's not. It's gonna heal exactly the same. Just being really careful over the next 5 days and not like swinging one leg out to like get out of bed and that kind of thing. So I was like, sweet, I don't have to have any stitches. Like, this is just amazing. I don't even remember what time we went to sleep. I have no clue. I think 7 o'clock rolled around that morning. We still hadn't slept or anything. I think maybe we just started to go to sleep or something. I don't even remember. Sage woke up around 8 o'clock. We hear her get out of bed. She runs to her potty in the morning and then she comes into our room to snuggle. So she goes to her potty and then my mom hears her. So I hear my mom get out of her room and she's talking to Sage and Sage is just like talking blah, 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 like has no idea what just took place the night before. And then I told Clark, I'm like, she's up, like go get her. And I wanted to not be holding the baby. I wanted the baby to be like just laying on the bed between us or something. Cause you know, the things they say of like the mom not holding the baby when you introduce them so they don't like get jealous or whatever. So I have the baby, I think, or was I holding her? No, I think she was laying down. At this point, no, I don't even remember. I think I had her just laying on the bed. Wow, see, you forget things. So Clark runs out there and is like, Seiji, we have a surprise for you. And she's like, oh, like, what's my surprise? They start coming in, she still can't see her and she's like talking to me and blah, blah, blah. And she comes around and we're like, come on, come into the bed. And she sees the baby and is like, we're like, it's your sister. She came last night. And she was like, really? Like, it was, no, I'm gonna cry again. Okay, I cannot do this. It was the sweetest moment ever. Exactly how I would have wanted it to go. We just told her everything that happened. We're like, you didn't hear us? And she's like, no, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear her crying. Yeah, and I look over at Clark and he has tears in his eyes and then it makes me have tears in my eyes and we're just like, these are our girls. Like, these are our babies. And our babies are loving each other. Oh my God. It was so sweet. And yeah, that's it, guys. That is my birth story. And I'm sticking to it. So again, I will have the birth vlog that I'll put up once I like get through all that footage and everything, but I wanted just to like sit down and talk to you guys and just tell you the story. I'm sure I missed a ton of details, but that's the gist. That's the summary of what went down. If there's anything specific you want to know about what all happened, put a comment below. I'll answer everything. Maybe I'll do a whole other video about postpartum and how that has all been going. Let me know if that's something you would want, but I will say that it's been night and day difference. I feel so good this time around. Of course, there's like little things, like obviously you push a baby out of your body, but it's been very different this time around and I'm so grateful. I definitely would do that all over again. Like, I definitely want to have a home birth next time around. I know I can do it now and I'm so proud of myself. I'm so grateful. I'm so just overjoyed with the whole thing and how it all happened. And I'm just so grateful to have a healthy baby and that I'm healthy and we're good. And it was literally a dream. But I'm gonna end this here because now I've talked for way too long and I should be sleeping while she's sleeping. Clark and Sage are at the park and I need to take advantage of this. Thank you guys for all of your love, all of your support, all your sweet messages, and everyone who's just been invested in this pregnancy and just also happy for me that I finally had a baby. Okay guys, I will post my birth vlog next at some point. I don't know when I'll accomplish it, but it's coming. It's coming hopefully soon. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye.